on our agenda. So if we can be somewhat, let's make some progress, but we don't want to.
Okay, we're live.
We don't want to move over anything too quickly. I mean, that would be a mistake. So welcome to the Ag Resource.
Is Delegate Otto having trouble getting in? He's been pending here for a few minutes.
Oh yes.
No, and I don't see Jacobs or Clark.
Clark is just in the waiting room. I just let him in, and there's Jay Jacobs.
Thank you, everyone.
Is that everybody? Okay. So let's start right in on these because we do want to finish in 15 minutes. So let's take the first one is the snare traps bill, House Bill 579. Delegate Ruth, I understand you got a letter from Baltimore County. I did not get an email.
I apologize. It's been a crazy day. Let me find that and send that to you right now.
That's not important. That's not important. Okay, the basic idea on 579 is I talked to the sponsor. The sponsor is fine if we leave possess in the law. And the sponsor, you know, his interest is the local Cecil County, taking them out of that list. So do I have them? Is that acceptable to the subcommittee? If so, do we have a motion?
So
moved.
Second.
I have a question.
Okay, so we're on the amendment. So the amendment will be to strike the brackets around possess. Delegate Lehman.
Okay, so the amendment is to strike all the language that pulls in all the other counties. They did originally pull in Prince George's, Anne Arundel, Baltimore, and a number of other counties, so they would no longer be included. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Tracy, is that
That's what I thought, but I wanted to hear you say that. And then my other question is about, I don't recall, who is the sponsor of the bill?
Delegate
Hornberger.
Okay, and so is the purpose, because I do appreciate the other counties being pulled out. However, you know, I'm concerned about the precedent for what he's looking to do in his county, and then other counties getting that idea in future years. Is it to just possess the trap, or is it to use it? We got testimony about how it's useful for, you know, certain animals, like I think the example that was given, I believe, was coyotes, if I'm not mistaken. And then we heard that there's a risk for other animals like dogs and children. But is it possession or is it actually to use it? It sounds like it's both.
It is.
Use it.
It is. And so the rationale is just for coyotes. I mean, somebody came up with this as a concept for, you know, forgetting all the concerns of the past, someone realized that this is really effective for coyotes in particular. That's the rationale.
I'm not sure.
Can Patrick answer that, or?
Well, it could be used for any animals. I mean, it's used by people who are pest removers and the like. There's a lot of uses, and it's legal in most of the state.
So, okay, it's legal both for use and possession?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, then if it is, why was it, I don't know what your definition of most of, why was it pulling in all these other counties that were not currently in the law?
Just for possession.
Okay, just.
It was only pulling in the other counties for possession.
Okay, yeah, this possession versus use is just such an odd, and we've heard about it before with other, you know, with other devices. It's just you know, I know there's not time for it now, but I would love to know the history of this. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. you know, I don't understand it, but thank you for the explanation of the amendment.
Okay, we're on the amendment. Delegate Ruth, is your hand raised for the amendment?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to let you know that I had sent you the Baltimore County letter on March 9th, but I just sent it to you right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more quick comment, Chair Gilchrist. I also talked to both Anne Arundel and Prince George's. Anne Arundel was looking into it, but I can tell you, I don't have the documentation because it wasn't going to be done as a letter, but the head of our animal management division, who I of course worked with when I was on the county council for 8 years, Rodney Taylor, was calling his contact at DNR to express really strong opposition and displeasure that Prince George's absolutely did not want to be included. So I'm glad somebody got that message. And I would hope that would be a warning in the future on these kind of bills to not pull other counties in that have no interest. I really found that very frustrating. Thank you.
Okay, on the amendment, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the bill as amended is before us. And let me just say, I mean, my position is that the possessed portion is statewide and it is valid for us to act on, but we are taking it out. All right, do we have any conversation on the bill as amended? Do we have a motion?
So
Second.
moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of the bill as amended, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that's 579 approved as amended. House Bill 615, this is Prince George's County Sunday hunting. Patrick, are there amendments on this?
Yes.
What do we
The,
have?
add the archery hunting safety zone change in Prince George's County. I think we just heard a bill for Western Maryland on that today. Reduces it to 50 yards.
And Prince, okay, and so all the letter and local approval is behind us. We're ready to move ahead.
We have the local approval, correct?
Do I have a motion on the amendment?
So
So
moved.
moved.
All right, moved and seconded. Delegate Lehman.
Okay, I need a clarification. This bill came up in a town hall meeting that my district colleagues, District 21, and I had last night. And one of our constituents referred to it as the Sunday hunting bill and really strongly, recommended we oppose it. And Delegate Pena-Melnick and I responded that we almost always oppose hunting bills of most kinds, wherever they are, partly because we're opposed, but also kind of in the spirit of Barbara Frush, because for those of you who work with her, she, served on this committee for years and opposed hunting bills. But
Delegate Lehman.
But I want to make the point about the archery. I don't understand what's being conflated here is archery and the distance versus Sunday hunting. Is it one? Is it both? Is it about distance? Because some people are referring to it one way for, short as Sunday hunting, but then the discussion we had in delegation focused on this distance with archery, and we didn't get clear answers in delegation. I believe this bill, if I'm not mistaken, was originally put forward by then Delegate Mike Jackson, who's now over in the Senate and isn't answering. No one's answering these questions. And so I apologize for not knowing the answer to a bill that affects my own county.
Well, you can look at it now as that the bill relates to hunting and it has two different elements. One is
Okay.
change in the archery hunting safety zone and the other is
Oh.
hunting. The two don't really interrelate with each other.
They do or they don't.
They do not.
Okay, so in one bill, you're adding Sunday hunting, and somewhere else you're changing the distance for that someone can shoot a bow and arrow from wherever, their porch or something like that.
Tree stand, porch.
Okay, Mr. Tracy, can you speak briefly then to the Sunday hunting part of it? The same questions that we ask We were just Delegate Clark about how many Sundays you're talking about.
This is what they call the Tier 1 Sunday hunting. It's open during open season for mammals and game birds. So it's year round, whatever is open season at a particular time, then the Sunday can be open. It's up to DNR. They don't have to open every Sunday.
It's up to DNR. Can Mr. McKittrick answer a question, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Mr. McKittrick, I've heard from a lot of folks in North County, different constituents, or I did than Delegate Jackson does in South County. South County is way more rural. What does that look like when DNR makes a decision, weighs in? Who do you listen to? I mean, we're talking about a very large, very, very populous county, most of which is urban, suburban, but there is the rural tier, which is, I gather, that's who then Delegate Jackson was listening to. I just find this really problematic for my end of the county.
Well, thank you. I'm not sure there is a question in there, Delegate, but
What is the role of DNR? That's my question.
So, in this case, DNR, first and foremost, supports the self-determination of the counties in terms of hunting opportunities, within state and federal guardrails that we have set. I can't tell you how you should feel about this bill. Again, I will say that it is up to Prince George's County and its representation and the General Assembly to provide input and vet this bill.
Thank you for that. But practically speaking, I'm not asking you respectfully to tell me how to feel about it. I know how I feel about it. I was trying to understand whether, based on what Mr. Tracy just said, what role DNR plays if this gets approved. For example, might it potentially say, okay, this will only apply in the rural tier of the county and not in the central, inside the Beltway, for example, or in North County?
I would say that for this bill to pass and for that demarcation to occur, I think would be unusual for the department to do that. Probably shooting everyone in the foot here, but there's some counties across the state that do have demarcations, around hunting regulation. One that comes to mind is Frederick City and Frederick County do have some actually fairly confusing, but ultimately different regulatory schemes when it comes to deer hunting.
Okay.
But I can, again, back to your main question, it would be very unusual for DNR to enact a demarcation based on this bill, as we have not done so in the past with any other county.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I've never heard about the situation in Frederick. I guess I wouldn't have a reason to, but there is a precedent for it, is what I'm hearing. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm either going to ask to hold this bill. If we're not willing to do that, I'm going to abstain for now because I'd like to circle back with my county colleagues.
Do we have
Do we have another Prince George's delegate here? Delegate Lehman, you are the Prince George's delegate in the subcommittee, so if you want to hold it, you may.
I would like to hold the bill then. Thank you.
Okay. I don't know if we have enough time to do either of the remaining bills, but let's talk about House Bill 755. This came in as a licenses, free fishing and hunting licenses for 80% disabled veterans. James, there are amendments that we're looking at. Could you help us understand what the amendments are?
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of talked about this a little bit in subcommittee last week. So the bill, as introduced, simply provides a complimentary license for folks, veterans who are 80% disabled. We currently only provide those for folks that are 100% disabled. And there's obviously a fiscal impact and kind of a slippery slope argument when we start to kind of go beyond that 100%. We intended to address that last year with a bill that established the Healing, Hunting, and Fishing Fund that feeds voluntary donations directly to the Chesapeake Bay Trust to then make grants to eligible veterans organizations who provide outdoor opportunities. I say intended because that piece about complimentary licenses was never actually incorporated, and in discussion with the Chesapeake Bay Trust, we decided that the law would actually need to be clarified to allow, again, for complimentary licenses to be provided for individuals of all stripes. And actually, I believe including wheelchair-bound individuals as well, I think are part of the Healing, Hunting, and Fishing.
So do I understand the amendments would put all of these paid for free licenses into this fund that people voluntarily contribute to?
Correct.
And it would nullify any effect on the special fund used to regulate hunting and fishing in the state?
Correct. This was envisioned last year, at the beginning of the session as a way to address everyone's, desire, in the General Assembly to try to do something positive for veterans. And so we thought, rather than, having to deal with the special fund loss out of free licenses, that this would be a better apparatus.
Okay.
We were trying to make it that apparatus it should have been last year.
Any discussion on the amendments here? Maybe we are, Patrick, are these amendments ready to go?
Yeah, they were sent out.
I'll move favorable, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, on the amendments, all those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the bill is before us as amended. All those in favor of the bill as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Delegate Stein had to leave us and Delegate Wells is about to have to leave us. But I will say, Delegate Stein I've been on this subcommittee for a while. Delegate Jacob, you've been on this subcommittee for a while, and we keep working on these fishing licenses for the veterans. And I think we get closer each year. Do you feel that way, Delegate Jacobs?
We should be pretty much finished, I would think.
I would agree with that assessment.
Okay, thank you all for your work. And Delegate Lehman, your hand is up.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, it was up from before. I've lowered it.
Okay. I don't think we have time to do any more today. Delegate Wells is going to have to leave us in about 80 seconds. But we did pass out 2 bills today. We are going to have to meet again this week. We heard a bunch of hunting and fishing bills today. So we are going to have to find time to meet later this week. And we can try to bump housing like they're keeping our meeting today. Okay, so everybody, thank you.
Tomorrow at 12:30, right?
Who, us?
That's when they're meeting. So.
Okay.
No, environment is too.
We'll meet at
Oh,
12:50.
they might meet later in the day, yeah.
Okay. All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Aye.